We're in the Coachella Valley, surrounded by the Santa Rosa Mountains for the championship match of the Newsweek Champions Cup. And the man on top of the mountain is Jim Courier. 2 years ago, he used his victory here as a launching pad that catapulted him to the world's #1 ranking.
Has climbed the next ladder. In tennis, he has won $1 million championship, and he will head now toward his coach, I believe.
It was a good test for the memory. I hung in there all the way to the end, and in the breaker it was either way, and it went my way, and it was, I moved to a new level. That was pretty neat.
As a 5-year-old, Courier started out throwing caution to the winds by hitting the ball just about as hard as he could, and that's still the way it is with him. Power aplenty. Jim Courier takes the stadium court. He's going for his second Newsweek Champions Cup title. He's only lost one match all year so far. Following him, Wayne Ferreira, the number 14 seed. They're playing for $235,000. This is the Newsweek Champions Cup, and it's Wayne Ferreira of South Africa, number 14 seed, against Jim Courier, who is the top player in the world now. And a very friendly greeting to everybody. It is another very pleasant day here in the desert of California for tennis. This is the first event on the ATP Super 9. What that means is that the field here has been terrific. 8 of the top 10 players entered this championship, and if they had got to their appointed places, this is how the draw in the quarterfinals would have looked. It would have been Courier, Agassi, Chang, and Korda. Things turned out pretty much according to plan at the top there, with the exception of Agassi. But then it would have been Ivanisevic, Edberg, Steek, and Sampras, and that changed dramatically. It was Mancini, Ferreira, Santoro, and Volkov who took their place, and finally it's Wayne Ferreira of South Africa that is in the final to take on Jim Courier of the USA. And Fred Stolle, there have been a large number of amazing upsets in this championship again.
Well, that's what I like about this Super 9 series, Cliff. I'm looking forward to what's going on throughout the year here, because you're going to attract these players. And if you go through that draw, the top players are out, but they all had opportunities to win, except for 2 of them. Volkov took out Sampras, but Sampras did win a match. Ivanisevic just didn't want to play that particular week. So I think we're going to find this all the way throughout the year, and it certainly has helped Wayne Ferreira, because I think he was lacking in confidence, and sometimes you just need a few of those top seeds to fall over, and it allows you to get through.
What about Jim Courier, Fred? He has looked very strong as the #1 player in the world. For all the losses here, he's looking super.
Well, he says, well, how do you define an athlete? He said, if you want the big servers, if you want the crunches, he said, I can do it all. He said, I work on my game. And as Tom Gorman, the Davis Cup coach, says, hey, probably the easiest part of the day for Jim Courier is when he's playing an actual match. And the strengths of Jim Courier, in my mind, are the return of serve. And it's a different return of serve today because of the serve and volley. But look at this. He's looking for a forehand against Michael Chang. Gets round. That's how he won that semi-final match, was with the explosive ability on the return of serve. This is the two-handed backhand. He likes a target, and I think he's going to get a lot more of a target today against Wayne Ferreira, who I believe really has to serve and volley. That's the way he got there.
All right, Fred, so Wayne Ferreira didn't have to play too many seeded players. One, in fact, to get to where he is, but nevertheless, he is there. If he's going to win today against the world's #1, how is he going to do it?
Well, he believes that he should be there, Cliff, and he's had some pretty good performances over the year, and I say he's been playing with his mind a little bit. This may just be the move that he wants. He has to serve well. He served particularly well against Volkov. He has to do that again today against Jim Courier. Got to get a bunch of good first serves in. I look at a 65%. If he can do that, that's good. The forehand effectiveness, both of them have big forehands, Ferreira and Courier. But I think he makes more errors on that. But it's the big forehand that he has to go with today if he's to have a shot at beating Jim Courier in this final.
All right, so Wayne Ferreira of South Africa, unlikely finalist, but he's in the final. And by the way, Fred, it was just a couple of years ago that he was like a qualifier in this championship. So, Mary, things changed dramatically for him just 1 year ago.
Yeah, that's very true. Wayne Ferreira is one of the few players who actually had 2 big breakthroughs in 1992. In any year, I mean, to go into the top 20 for the first time and then rise into the top 10 is a remarkable thing. He had 2 titles, and he had some good Grand Slams as well. He beat John McEnroe in the quarterfinals of the Australian Open. That was a big one for him. He was at quarterfinals at the U.S. Open, and it took Michael Chang 5 sets to turn him back. And at Wimbledon in the 4th round, in fact, Boris Becker needed 5 to turn away Wayne Ferreira. He's a very, very dangerous player. He's speedy, he's solid off the ground, and what he can do, he's got this cobra-like ability to just break open a point with his forehand. His backhand is solid. There's something about his forehand, because he's got so much shoulder rotation, he sort of looks double jointed, and it's hard to read a shot like this. Boom, all of a sudden, he can end a point and really startle you. Of course, this is going to be a 3 out of 5 set match, and over 5 sets, there aren't that many people I think can beat Jim Courier. But he's a dangerous player. He's got a big serve, he's got the big forehand, and he could be trouble.
Some quite similar aspects about the games with these two fellas, actually, except that Wayne Ferreira, as you say, got a bigger serve probably than Jim Courier. It's going to be an interesting match anyway. #1 player in the world, Jim Courier, against the surprising finalist, Wayne Ferreira of South Africa.
Our coverage today is being brought to you by IBM. There's never been a better time to do business with IBM. By Newsweek, the most exciting magazine you'll read this week. And by the people of Nike, who encourage you to just do it. Best of 5 sets, $235,000 to the winner today. As a consolation prize, the finalist will take home $123,000. Wayne Ferreira of South Africa, 21-year-old, and Jim Courier of the United States, a Florida boy. He also spends a lot of time out here in the desert of California, so to some extent he is playing at home. As a matter of fact, he spends about as much time when he's off the road here in the Palm Springs area as he does anywhere else. Well, as I said, Florida officially is where he lives. Now, let's go down to Alan King.
Ladies and gentlemen,
a moment of silence and tribute to Arthur Ashe.
We would like to offer a moment of silence for Arthur Ashe. Thank you.
When Arthur Ashe announced in April that he had AIDS, he was not sure how people would react. And in fact, there has never in the history of our sport been such an outpouring of love and affection for one of the game's most favored sons. And of course, we salute him along with you again. The statue of Arthur Ashe. He has been so warmly greeted and remembered, not only in the United States, but by everyone in the world. It's really...
Well, the awards gala the other night, the proceeds went to that foundation, Cliff, the AIDS Foundation that Arthur started, and they had a record crowd there, 700 people. They had to change the configuration of the room because of the number of folks that they had there. It was a very moving moment when his wife took the podium to speak on behalf of her late husband.
Best of 5 sets here again, $235,000 to the winner. First 5-set match, best of 5-set match of the championship. It is the final match. Jim Courier will serve first. He is serving with the sun behind him, both right-handers, of course. So, as we've been telling you all week long, serving from this side is going to be a lot easier proposition from the side that Wayne Ferreira is on now. First ball.
Oh!
A couple of years ago at Roland Garros, nobody was sure who was going to win the French championship. Turned out that it was Jim Courier who won it, and on the way he beat Wayne Ferreira. It's the only time they have played. Last year when Courier played the French championships, everybody expected him to win, and he repeated.
far as coach Jose Aguirre is concerned, he thinks that the first set of this match very important. We know that Jim Courier is not going to get tired. Best of 5 sets this final. He feels that if his man can hit a firm forehand, a very hard forehand into the Ferreira forehand, that's the backswing. That's Jose Aguirre in the center of your picture there with the white cap on. That he feels that Ferreira has a very long loopy swing. So you just have to compare those two forehands as the first couple of games go on, and you'll see that if Courier can blast that forehand there, it may be too much for Ferreira's side.
Good example of the incredibly long loop of Wayne Ferreira's forehand. Again, there's a great deal of shoulder rotation, and he can hang with it at the very last moment. It's a well-disguised forehand. And then, of course, he's got all that racket speed going for him, but he shanked that one badly. That happens with him. I've seen him actually do that quite a bit, framing the ball because of the quickness of the swing.
He needs to have time to make that swing, though. If he's running late with it, then it's under pressure.
Versus.
First game, best of 5. Jim Courier, #1 player in the world, 1 game to love.
That's me.
I think his forehand looks like this. Yeah, it does.
I think he's changed his forehand a little.
Stay quickly, please. Thank you. Ferreira to serve. Quiet, please.
Ferreira to serve his first point.
Opens up with 105 miles an hour straight down the middle. Ferreira really has to serve well, and he's done it all week. He leads the tournament as far as aces served. So far, it's 34 aces he's hit. He's the #1 man there, and Courier has come up with 23 aces, tied for 3rd in that category.
Got a big enough serve to be right up there with the best in business in the ace department, as you can see. 7th on the tour.
The leader, of course, was Goran Ivanisevic, who went over the 1,000 mark at the Grand Slam Cup at Munich last December.
The origins of the name Ferreira are Portuguese. Of course, South Africa is bounded by Angola and Mozambique. both Portuguese-speaking countries.
There's the serve. He's going to have to do that. You can see Courier there edging towards the center of the court, doing exactly what we were talking about at the top of the show, looking for a forehand. And Wayne Ferreira has a terrific serve out wide with that real forehand grip, and he's got enough guts to go for a few of those. That will then make Courier cover that side of the court a little more.
The problem with attacking Jim Courier is this.
The return of serve we've talked about. Courier likes a target, and he does hit a lot of winners off first serves.
That's his second ace. First serve game point for Ferreira. Keith DeProm said that he was going to try to move Courier around. He was going to come in sometimes behind his serve, not all the time, mix things up. But in the main, he wants to come in when he's got Courier on the run.
Very flat first serve when he goes for the one out wide of the backhand. Because of that forehand grip, most of his first serve deliveries are pretty flat.
About his forehand earlier and how difficult it is to anticipate where it's going. You did right about it. His forehand reminds me of a Michael Pernfors in the sense that he takes the shoulders, he makes the swing with the shoulders first, and then the right arm comes through after that shoulder turn, whereas most players bring the arm through at the same time as the shoulder turn.
Makes it tougher to read. It hangs back.
There's that
third ace.
Game point.
You know, Ferreira, as we mentioned, they've only played one another once, and that was 2 years ago. Ferreira's a much better player now, and he really feels that against a guy like Courier, that'll work to his advantage because he figures Courier doesn't really know how he plays. He says he just doesn't want to allow Courier to get in a groove. If he mixes it up, comes in every now and then and serves like that, he can stay with him.
Good serve right at the body.
113 mile-an-hour serve in the first game. You can bet that as this match progresses that he's going to be able to crank it up pretty well.
Well, he mixed his serve up very well in that game, didn't he? Served 2 aces wide to the forehand. He served 1 down the tee, and then he hit a couple of first serves directly at the body of Jim Courier. And while Courier doesn't mind that shot, it's tough to get out of the way and be effective on the return at something coming at you at 113 miles an hour.
We're going to track his direction on the serve today again. Wide, about 15. Courier now serving into the sun.
First set of this match is very important as far as Coach Aguirre is concerned. He thinks that even if Courier loses the first set, he's still able to compete and stay in there. But he may have to change his tactics somewhat. shot to the forehand, and it's that long, loopy backswing that caused the problems there.
Gavin Forbes is the man that you're looking at there, sitting next to Jose Higueras. He is Courier's manager. He's actually a South African, so he's of the same nationality as Wayne Ferreira, University of Texas boy. He's been over here for over 10 years now, graduate, Longhorn graduate, played for the Longhorns, and he represents Mary Jo Fernandez and Mary Pierce as well.
And he happens to be your nephew.
Good-looking boy, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's Courier's first ace. He was asked what he figured were his strengths in the press conference yesterday. He said, well, I guess it's my serve, my forehand, but I really feel my biggest, the best thing I've got going for me is my mental attitude, mental toughness. And he's extremely fit, not only physically, but mentally.
From love 30, Courier gets back to 40-30. Another thing for you folks to watch at home, both these are two-handed backhands, but if you have a look at Courier, he cocks the wrist like a baseball player, just lays the wrist back. And Ferreira, much more conventional, he goes back like a Jimmy Connors with a stiff arm motion.
Game point Courier. Although I judge, Fred, you're going to be seeing more slice one-handed backhands from Ferreira today, because I think he wants to try to keep it low into Courier if he gets the chance. Relatively speaking, of course, because as you said, basically he's a two-handed backhand player. 2 games to 1, no breaks, first set, best of 5. Live coverage.
Okay. Yep.
Sensational day today in the desert of California. Let's take a look, Fred Stolle, as you see the score 2-1 for Courier against Ferreira at Ferreira's strengths and weaknesses.
Well, put in the two-handed backhand here. The forehand is a much more explosive shot, but the two-handed return is very reliable. And of course, the first serve, obviously, he served more aces than anybody else. Weakness, as opposed to Courier's, one of his strengths is his mental toughness. That's where Wayne Ferreira can go off the tracks at times.
Seats, please.
This is a look at the Ferreira serve. Very smooth motion, gets good knee bend into it and good extension as he then takes a couple of quick steps to get into the volleying position. Return of serve, takes the weight on the balls of his feet, and that's the backhand return that is most reliable shot.
Loose wristed serve as well too, and that's how he's able to get some. He's got that forehand grip, and if you try to serve with the forehand grip, you can virtually only hit the ball flat unless you're as talented as he is. He gets some spin on the second serve using a lot of wrist.
Thought he had the corner there, but it was called wide. 112 miles an hour, you can see. You got to look at 2 different backhands here. Courier on the back foot on this, and then Ferreira leaning in on that because the ball bounces halfway up the court. Watch this. It's halfway up the court, so he takes 2 steps forward, and that's where the body weight goes into the shot.
about mental toughness. Fred Keith DePromes, his coach, says that Wayne Ferreira's problem is that he's too talented and that he's a little lazy. Jim Courier, of course, has been a very successful player now for the last couple of years. And Wayne Ferreira had a good year last year, 16-1. Their record this year, 13-5 for Ferreira. 11 singles titles, including a couple of French and Australian Opens, so 4 Grand Slams. Singles titles, 2 for Ferreira, both last year. And there you see their records.
Jim Courier's got an interesting philosophy on Wimbledon this year. It's another fine serve. We're talking about Grand Slam performances for Courier. He says, well, I haven't quite figured Wimbledon out yet. I've always tried to adjust to the grass, but this year, no way. I'm going to let the grass adjust to my game. So he's looking at it in a little different light.
One of Ferreira's 2 titles last year was on grass, one on hard.
One warm-up tournament for Wimbledon, one warm-up tournament for the US Open. Game point Ferreira. Two games all, first set.
The scribes, well, one of them was a little unfair with Ferreira today. They said, well, you know, it wouldn't be unusual on a lot of ATP Tour stops to find Ferreira in the final, but this one, with all the top players in there, it's unusual that the number 14 seed gets through. Well, I don't happen to agree with that. I thought that Ferreira, after a semi-final spot 2 years ago in the Australian Open, or last year in the Australian Open, had a chance to win that event this year. And he was crushed after he lost to Christian Bergstrom in Australia in a 5-set.
Remember that match Federer was on court 1 and the crowd were just going crazy. They really got on top of him and he was incensed about it.
Well, he was defending an awful lot of points at this year's Australian Open. He was a semi-finalist last year.
But he can play with the best of them.
That's his first double fault careers. Ferreira has just got himself an apartment in Paris in the last month. He really likes it there, and he feels it's an easier place to commute to than from Johannesburg, South Africa. And Johannesburg is quite a hike.
Apart from which his girlfriend does a lot of, she's a model, and she does a lot of work in Paris and Tokyo. She's from San Francisco.
As good as Ferreira is, though, it's got to be a surprise to everyone that he came out of a bracket that included Pete Sampras, Stefan Edberg, Goran Ivanisevic, Michael Stich, Guy Forget.
He didn't have to play any of them.
He didn't have to play any of them, yeah. And that's pretty remarkable.
But then his answer to that is, well, the guys that knocked those fellas out must have been playing some pretty good tennis. And I go along with that because there's only 2 of those fellas that were really beaten badly. The rest of them had an opportunity to win and lost out. So that's a good mental attitude for Ferreira to go into this match. No good going in there thinking, well, I shouldn't be there. All these other guys have lost.
He made a good start the last time that Courier served. Remember, then Courier came back and won 4 in a row. Same thing has happened here. Love 30, now 15-30. And 2 games all. You're talking about the Australian semi-final last year. Stefan Edberg beat him in straight sets in the semis, but remember he beat McEnroe, who had such a good championship up to that point. He'd beaten Becker and he'd beaten Emilio Sanchez in that memorable match there. He also beat David Wheaton and Mark Woodford of Australia on the way before getting to McEnroe. 30 all.
He does a nice job here because he works the point around. He's not afraid to go to the Ferreira forehand if he knows that he's getting extra purchase on the ball with each stroke, which is just what happens here.
It's over to the backhand side, though, not to the forehand, and he drew him out on the backhand, and it forces Ferreira to take one hand off the racket. He's done that on 2 or 3 occasions.
When Ferreira beat McEnroe at the Australian Open last year, you know, a lot of people were surprised because they figured John had had the big wins against Sanchez and Becker. But the 3 out of 5 sets really hurt McEnroe. He'd kind of run out of gas by the time he got to Wayne. But I feel that 3 out of 5 here really helps Courier. I think his attitude is going to be, go ahead, hit your aces, hit your big forehands. You do it for 3 sets, you win. That's a pretty tough thing to do. Second ace for Jim Courier.
And he comes back again from down love 30 and wins his serve, so it's 3-2. No serve breaks yet. This is the first set, and it's best of 5. Live coverage of the Newsweek Champions Cup. We're in Indian Wells, California on a sensational day here for the sport of tennis. In fact, it's been this way all week with the exception of one day. It was a little windy. Jim Courier leading 3 games to 2. He's taken on number 14 seed Wayne Ferreira of South Africa, Cliff Drysdale, Mary Curler, and Fred Stoller. Here's a shot from the Fuji Blimp. High above us, the Fuji Blimp is piloted today by Captain Dominique Manier, who's a native of Paris, and Captain John Buquirk, who hails from down under. Fred, your part of the world. That could be Australia or New Zealand, I guess. Let's guess.
No, it's Australia. John's from Australia, and he likes it out here. He likes flying that blimp, I guess.
Our coverage starts at midnight, Monday night Eastern Time, March the 15th. We should be showing you that day coverage from what happens next Sunday at the Lipton. Then we'll be covering that championship through the following weekend. I hope you enjoy that coverage alongside us. Have another great field. It is one of the Super 9. So is this tournament. So this is the Newsweek, then the Lipton, Monte Carlo to follow on the clay in Europe in the springtime, followed shortly after that, just 2 weeks later, by Hamburg, and then the next week the Italian Open. Then of course we go into the French Championship, etc. But the next Super 9 Championship is in the summertime in the US, the Canadian Open, followed shortly after that by Cincinnati. And then we take a break from the Super 9 and go back to Europe for Paris and Stockholm indoor championships. Now the reason that there's a delay here is because Jim Courier has left the court for a legal break, a bathroom break that is allowed to take. So while he is doing his thing, we're going to take a break and come back for our continuing live coverage. 3 games to 2. Jim Courier leading on serve and first set.
No, I don't think so. It took him a while to get out because everybody was going 2 games to 1. People were out and walking in. That's the most of it. So we're not going to
Thank you. Seats behind, please. The nearest seat. Players are ready.
Ferreira to serve, trailing 3-2.
It's worth mentioning, though, it may have nothing to do with the bathroom break that Courier requested, but yesterday he was about an hour and a half late coming into his press conference, and when we asked him why, he said that he didn't feel too good right off of his semifinal. Nothing serious, he said, but he'd had breakfast and not a real lunch, and he said he just needed to put some food in his belly. Guys aren't used to playing finals this early in the day. We're out California time. This final started at 11. It's kind of an unusual time to start a match.
He was in the locker room at 8:30 where he came over. He was reading a book, waiting for his coach Jose Gutierrez to show up at 9 o'clock to go into their practice routine.
And a 3 out of 5 set match, you want some food in your belly. You know, you want to have some kind of fuel.
Got to have an early breakfast if you're going to start playing at 11 o'clock. This is the first opportunity now for Courier. Love 30.
He beat Michael Chang, of course, in the semi-final, and before that, Marc Rosset was a 3-setter with Rosset.
This guy actually plays quite a bit like Rosset. Ferreira does with the big serve, the big forehand.
Moves a lot better, though.
Ferreira 15-30 in this game on his serve.
In trouble now.
Stretched wide on this one, and Courier makes a pretty good first volley. This is a good passing shot down there. That's one of the better volleys from Jim Courier. He goes over, creates the angle. If he'd have played that any deeper, then Ferreira would have been able to track it down.
Courier won 5 of 12 break points yesterday. It's Chang. He missed that one. He has a break of serve. Goes to the rules #1, and he will serve leading 4 games to 2. First set.
As far as break points saved, both players have been pretty good in that department, but not so much today. On the first break point opportunity, Courier converts, but up until today's matches, 73% saved by Wayne Ferreira, and 74% by Courier. So in that department, they're very close.
Now this is the crunch time for, in a way, Wayne Ferreira. You know, he looked pretty lackadaisical out there, and sometimes he is. Having just been broken, Courier could break the match wide open.
He was sitting right on top. He was right over that shot. It was a weak reply from Ferreira.
Tough one to play, though, because he went down the line. You can see him hesitate. Watch Courier come in. He gets in position. Now he stops. He hesitates there and decides, well, I've got to poke it down the line. There, look at just a slight hesitation. And he comes off the ball a little bit, and that caused the problem.
He was looking at Ferreira.
Yep.
That's what happened.
Chance for Ferreira on Courier service. Had him down. Courier served twice. Love 30 in the set. Now it's 15-30.
Ferreira fools Courier here because Courier had moved to take 2 steps into his backhand corner. Watch, there goes the couple of steps over there to the backhand corner, and Ferreira goes the other way.
Mentioned that Ferreira won the tournament on grass. It was Queen's Club, of course. He beat Shuzo Matsuoka of Japan in the final. And then he went on to Wimbledon, got to the 4th round there. In the round of 16, he played against Boris Becker, lost him in 5 sets, led 2 sets to 1, and they had to come off. It was a match that was played over 2 days. Eventually, Becker won the 4th set in the tie-break. It was very, very close stuff. They won the 5th easily.
Particular time, this man Wayne Ferreira would definitely have won that match. The next day, when he came back, he barely won points in the next set.
1 of 9 break points yesterday against Volkov.
That's not very good.
No, he has another chance here. His first break chance. Big serve from Courier, 110 miles an hour. Ace.
Both these two can get themselves out of breakpoint trouble. But Courier for the week has been much more effective than Wayne. He's almost 1 for 2 on breakpoint chances. For Wayne, it's been more like 1 for 3.
Can control the point. He's in control of this one. He's whacked a couple of forehands. Courier is way behind the baseline defending, and here's the short one. Courier then is about 20 feet behind the baseline, throws up a defensive lob. This fella doesn't miss too many overheads either. He and Pete Norval are a pretty tough doubles team.
Ferreira is actually going to play with Michael Stich in at the Lipton, and then with your countryman Mark Kratzmann a couple of weeks in Europe. So he and Norval are not going to be playing that much together. Well, they may get back together at the end of the year, but for now, Ferreira is going to try a couple of others. Back to deuce.
This is a must situation for Wayne Ferreira now. He's lost his serve, and the best time to break back is immediately, and this is his 3rd point, his third break point opportunity in this game. He can't let that many opportunities slip against Courier.
Ferreira's had 2 already, and as you know, he hasn't broken. Courier broke the first chance he got. He missed it.
Yes.
Then that shot too short from Ferreira, and it allowed Courier then to dictate the point. And that was the shot that Jose Aguirre was talking about. If he can generate the pace, get that long looping backswing. Ferreira missed that one down the line, barely by 6 inches. The reason for that was that he was not through and not prepared in time. On the run is a tough one to make.
Take your chances when you get them against the top player in the world, and everybody that plays against Courier knows that. So Ferreira has let 3 slip by, and it's game point now, Courier. So after all, it's Courier who hangs on, and he holds the lead. 5 games to 2. 1 break for a set.
Ball change, please. Newlands. Courier leads 5-2. Time.
Here is a scouting report on Jim Courier.
Well, return of serve, we know that irrespective of what player is playing against. Fitness, going to be able to play the 5 sets. He's off the low volleys. He can play some good stuff, but under pressure at times, that's when he misses some of the volleys. And this is a look at that return of serve. He's always on the balls with his feet, ready to explode. And then the footwork, little steps. We talked about little steps yesterday. Gets himself set an open stance on the forehand on that occasion. Back into the center of the court again. But then what's this one? Lets rip on that and moves into the net position. Plays the low volley there. You can see the head of the racket drop down a little bit. The better volleyers don't do that, but this was a great volley on that occasion off the forehand side for the winner.
Crowd have settled down here as they prepare for game 8. Courier leading 5-2. Ferreira serving.
Broken in his last service game and was not broken in the semi-finals against Volkov yesterday.
He's a much more natural serving volleyer, Wayne Ferreira, than Jim Courier. So that means that he's got more variety. You know, on big points, he could do more. He's not nearly as predictable.
106 mile-an-hour ace. That's 4 for Ferreira. All.
Moves there out wide to the forehand. We talk about the strengths and weaknesses. Look at those skid marks there. They're on the deuce court. Both these players like to run around their backhands. That means they hit inside out forehands. But when they're stretched wide, they've got to prop and get back. At both ends of the court, you see where Courier is now. They're not, those marks are not over on that side. They've got a prop on the forehand side, and they're burning rubber.
Meanwhile, Ferreira holds on. An anxious moment for him in that game, but he wins it, and it's 5-3. Courier will now, with the sun behind him, serve for the first set. Neither one of these guys under 100 miles an hour on the first serve. First final that Wayne Ferreira has played this year. Of course, he won 2 tournaments last year that we talked about, semi-finalist at the Australian Open as well. A South African was in the final last week. Marcus Andruska losing in the final at the Purex Tennis Championships in Scottsdale.
He's done a lot of travelling though since the Australian Open, Wayne Ferreira. He went over to Europe, lost to Becker in a couple of tough matches. Played Becker over in Milan and Stuttgart. Also played in Rotterdam.
I still think Boris Becker is the toughest indoor player in the world. He is scheduled to play at the Lipton next week. He's never gotten past the 3rd round there. He was scheduled to play here, and he pulled out a couple of days before the event with lingering effects of the flu.
Yeah, that was terrible. That got a few of the players in Europe.
Peter Quarter among others. And he said it was really a rough 30-all in this game. Courier serving for the set. Nick Bollettieri, by the way, said he thinks Marcus Andruska is going to be a very solid but good player.
Missed it, off balance on that. You know, he was moving in. It was a high shot. He was off balance, and he kind of ran right through that one. Ferreira. This gives Jim Courier a set point.
He overran that shot. Ferreira, he made the good return, tried to move into the net position, but went past the point of good contact on the volley.
Full house again today, just short of 11,000 people. Set point, first set, world's number 1.
Yeah, first set.
Courier wins it. 1 break is all that he needed. 6 games to 3. It's going to be Ferreira to serve first game. Second set, they're going to take a break, and so will we. You enjoy a vacation down here. This is what you are likely to see when you wake up in the morning. Sunrise, Indian Wells, California. Perfect place to watch world-class tennis, of course, and golf, indeed. Perfect weather to play tennis, golf. In fact, any kind of outdoor activity. They have 4 world-class resort hotels only minutes from Palm Springs Airport. It's nestled at the foot of the majestic Santa Rosa Mountains. Indian Wells, the desert's perfect resort city. This is the Newsweek Champions Cup live coverage from Indian Wells, and Jim Courier has won the first set 6-3. Ferreira will start the second set.
Ferreira is only the second set lost in the tournament. He lost one to Emilio Sanchez in the second round of the event.
15.
I watched a lot of that match. That was the longest match of this tournament. A tough 3-setter. Sanchez, of course, always a great fighter.
Right out on the clubhouse court.
Ferreira's 5th. Pretty snappy, 110 miles an hour.
.30-15, and this is again a crucial time for Wayne Ferreira. He's down a break. He's got to win 3 sets. It's a best-of-5 set match. He's playing Jim Courier, who can play here until Sunday of next week without stopping if necessary. He is that fit. Ferreira knows it. He's down for a break. Excuse me, a set. But he's ahead in this game, 30-15.
Point. I believe his tactics got to be this: go into the net a little bit more, but then he's faced with a one-handed lob, perfectly executed, and he gets around, turns the back, and single-handedly plays that one a slice backhand very low over the net back to Courier.
The pressure on you on the returns, Courier. I just don't know. I think, Fred, I think it's fair to say that you have to keep mixing things up against Courier, but you cannot let him get into a rhythm on the return of serve. Edberg tried that at the Australian Open and went down in flames.
Ferreira saying to himself, come on, he knows the importance of that first serve, because Jim Courier is not just having any trouble. Supposedly got his second serve ace down the tee. What a remarkable performance. So it's 1 game to love. Courier leads in the second set.
Looking in serve direction, right? Anything interesting yet? Any?
Yesterday, yeah, that's it. Well, he likes that flat. That's basically, we could talk. That's the grip. Yeah, that's the. Yeah.
Courier is the #1 player in the world. He's trying to hang on. As a matter of fact, he is widening the gap just a little bit. Taking on Wayne Ferreira today of South Africa. He won the first set. One break and served 6-3. Ferreira held first game of the second set. This is the final match, best of 5 sets of the Newsweek Champions Cup. Cliff Drysdale, Fred Stoller, they are playing for this rather attractive Newsweek Champions Cup trophy. They're also playing for $235,000. Courier beat Chang in the semi-final. Wayne Ferreira had an easier road to the final. He beat Alexander Volkov, the number 15 seed, yesterday.
That Newsweek Champions Trophy reminded me of something Jim Courier said just last week. I don't know how many of you tuned in for ESPN show, the ESPY Awards. Jim Courier won one of the awards, and the trophy, it looks sort of like a long metal, a tubular deal, you know, long and skinny. And in accepting his award, this man said, "Oh, good, now I have a place to put my Pringles." It looked like a Pringle container.
He has a very nice sense of humor. He's a very solid citizen, this man, Jim Courier. I cannot tell you how admirable a person I think he is. Forget the fact that he treats the sport so professionally, and he handles himself so consistently as well.
Sometimes when Courier is a bit immature after a match, sometimes after a loss, he'll be very curt and terse in a press conference. And I think what throws everybody off about him is he doesn't look like he's 21 years old. Like Goran Ivanisevic looks young,
right.
You know, and Agassi can look and act very young. This guy looks like a grown man. And so you expect things from him that just aren't always fair. But he hangs around a lot of good grown-ups. I think I'm very respectful of the people that were in Jim Courier's life. I like his coaches, Brad Stein and Jose Higueras, and he's got a good, solid family as well. And
Jim and Linda, yeah, Florida folks. And
they don't travel around too much and watch him either. I think that helps. There's no
yeah, they're letting him grow
pressure.
up, aren't they?
Yeah, they're letting him go on his own, do his own thing. The tough thing for Wayne Ferreira is that so far the winner of the opening set has won the title this year 14 of 18 times. Last year it was even better. The winner of the opening set went on to win 68 of 82 tournaments.
major elements of this match so far.
First set, Ferreira, no forehand winners in the first set. We said that's his big shot. And 0 for 3 on breakpoint chances. Courier only 9 unforced errors, Ferreira 15, and that's going by the way of trying to make those forehand winners.
Slice backhand that I expected to see a little more of from Wayne Ferreira. What's this one?
I think he's got to try and change the momentum and change what he did in the first set. He's miscued a lot of balls today. I think he shanked a few forehands and a couple of double-handed backhands.
Well, the way he swings at the forehand, he's going to miscue him, as you well know. Game point, Ferreira.
Tough shot for him to play. I think the smarter thing would have been to take one step back and hit the two-hander Ferreira as he comes into the net. He doesn't get in far enough. He hesitates. Look, he waited back there so long, so he makes that volley off the shoelaces, and Courier is just too good. There he looks at that volley. He's got plenty of time to make his move and room to hit it down the line.
Fault on the first serve. This is the second serve. Game point, Ferreira.
that baseball swing on the backhand side there from Jim Courier, it is a very different stroke. You know, you talk about Monica Seles having a different kind of game. Well, this man does as well off both wings. He keeps the racket head cocked on the forehand and the backhand side to an extent that nobody else does in the sport. Game point still. And he lets him hit the ball very early. Nevertheless, it's Ferreira who holds on to one serve, 2 games to 1. Second set, first set. 2-0 number 1.
Brian. Also, Brian, the doctor wants to know when you're instructing in these swimming patterns right now.
We've had a discussion about this forehand and hitting it with an open stance and a closed stance. You can see that a lot of players use both, Fred.
Yeah, this is Wayne Ferreira on the run there. You can see there's more of a close stance because he's on the run on that particular shot as he goes down the line. When the ball is deep into the court, as it is here, when he has time to play it, Ferreira then tries to generate the pace by look at that shoulder rotation where he hits the ball. Rule of thumb, when you're on the other side, when you've got that front foot going forward, that shoulder doesn't get round anywhere near as quickly as when you swing from the hips. That's where he gets all the pace from. Jim Courier, a similar situation.
2 games to 1 Ferreira. This is Courier to serve into the Sun's second set. He won the first.
Versus.
Courier checked the sun a little bit after that second double fault. Sun high in the sky right now, and he's on the tough end of the court to be serving.
As they say, when there's no clouds, it's a very high sky today.
High sky.
15.
Cloud in the sky today, just gorgeous weather. Hasn't been able to make that one. You can see the disgust on Ferreira's face because that is one of his favorite shots. It's normally a reliable shot, that two-handed passing shot. He's had trouble all day with that.
Just lack concentration there. No reason for him to miss that forehand. 40-15 game point for Courier now. Courier's coach, when we talked to him earlier, Fred, just before the match, was saying that they were going to try to some extent to attack the forehand side of Ferreira because he has such a long swing and sometimes he doesn't have a chance to get to it. But they haven't seen much of that yet. Jose Higueras.
Well, he's forced him out wide a few times with those skid marks down there where he's had to recover. I think it's a good tactical move to go into the forehand when you're playing with players that just like to run around and hit returns like that. He's just making a lot of unforced errors at the moment.
He's just not playing a very good match, right, for let's face it. He's had a pretty sleepy start. Remember, we said forehand effectiveness was going to be one of the keys for Ferreira, and as you can see, he hasn't scored one winner off of that forehand side. That's going to hurt.
And one of the reasons for that is when he misses that first serve, he really doesn't get in to control the point, and he hasn't been serving very well, under 50%, I would think.
That's wrong with that. 113 mile an hour came right back at his feet is the problem, and he misses the volley, so it's love 15.
That's where we talk about Courier's return of serve against the big servers. He likes that target. He gets over the top of the ball and keeps the ball down low on the return. Uses the pace of serve, generates that extra power. And now on a second serve, you'll see where he'll be looking to run around and hit a forehand. Waits for the backhand.
15.
No, we talked about the top of the show. He needed to be up around 65% to be effective, and that first serve at 46% is not going to bother Courier at this stage.
Cannot let him get a look at too many second serves. Again, he got the first serve in, followed it into the net, but the return from Courier was at his feet. Slight mishit, maybe. He'll take it anywhere he can get it, and it's 15-30.
Difference between the return. Look at the short backswing on this. Look, halfway back, and he just firm wrist. He's got an arm like the great Lou Hode or Rod Laver, just so strong. He can muscle those things back just with a firm wrist. On the other hand, Ferreira takes a much bigger loopy swing.
Called wide. Ferreira doesn't like this call. Jerry Armstrong in the chair is not going to overrule it, but this is a big call against Wayne Ferreira, and he's down 2 break points.
And that's his only double fault of the day, Ferreira, and did not come at a very opportune moment. Pretty close, but from our vantage point, it was wide. It missed the line. We're sitting pretty high above that center line.
Courier's broken once. There's only been one breaker serve in the match. Ferreira hasn't broken.
Looking at another one here, though.
Another chance for Courier. When we were looking at the statistics for the first set, it's clear that those 3 breakpoint chances that Wayne Ferreira had and did not convert on were a crucial part of the story. There was only 1 break.
That's what he didn't do too well even yesterday in his win in the semis against Alexander Volkov. He didn't play the big points that well when he had chances to break. And of course, he hasn't done that here either.
Ooh, second serve, break point. Courier steals it long. So that was a break for Ferreira.
Yeah, the difference in break points yesterday, as we talked about, Ferreira was about 33%, one in 3, and Courier was up around 47, 48%. So he was much more effective on break point opportunities.
Game point for Ferreira. After the Grand Slam Cup, where Ferreira lost the first round, Keith DeProm, his coach, was not happy with him at all, so took him down to Sugar Creek Country Club, from where he's a touring pro, where DeProm is a touring pro, and they worked out for a couple of weeks there in preparation for this year. It's near Houston, Texas.
He couldn't miss that one by very much more. Slice backhand outside nearly knocked the let cord judge over.
Deuce.
Extraordinary shot.
Another break point for Courier. This is his 3rd break point of this game.
ace.
106-mile-an-hour first serve. That Courier steers just barely wide, and we're back at deuce.
Doesn't show a lot of emotion on the court, Wayne Ferreira, but today, for me, he just looks a little lethargic. Doesn't look as though he's right in there.
He's got a temper. I've seen him blow up on the court plenty of times.
Another one of those almost framed returns.
Short backswing again. Out wide. He doesn't quite get the angle on this one. I see it's down the center of the court, and Courier just snaps the wrist, gets it back across in front of the incoming volleyer. Look at this. He even started to move over to the backhand and had time to get back and snap that one across.
But again, Ferreira comes by with an ace. Courier going back looking for a call, Mary, but didn't get it.
No, that's Wayne's 7th ace. It's pretty tough to get it by Courier because he's very alert on the return to serve, and he has got the shortest takebacks on his forehand and backhand side, I think, of anyone I've ever seen. There's just almost no backswing. So it's hard to get it past him because his preparation is all in front of him.
How about Alexander Barkov? Talk about a short backswing. There's another guy who kind of angles around like it's every day is a Sunday afternoon in the park.
It's difficult to play against a man like Barkov. That's the guy that Ferreira beat to get to this final. Because he looks so casual out there, so lackadaisical. Kind of puts you to sleep.
And very short backswings as well. And there's the ace. Another 8 for the day for Wayne Ferreira. And we are still on serve. Second set.
33-22.
But only just.
But only just.
From Ojai, California, just north of Santa Barbara, our continuing coverage, live coverage of the final round of Cadillac Senior PGA Tour Golf Stop, the GTE West Classic. George Archer leading, minus he's 9 under. Al Geiberger and Gary Player are just behind him, and then Jack Kiefer 2 shots back. So join us for our live coverage at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time today. Of course, Jack Nicklaus could qualify for these senior events, but he instead chose to play on the regular tour this week, and he's not doing badly either, is he? There's a lot of golf here too at this golf course. 36 holes actually of them around this Indian Wells Country Club.
That's what Courier does so well in my mind. He doesn't serve and volley a lot, but boy, he sets up a lot of points with that serve. Get a short reply, and anything inside that service line, forefront of the court, he moves right in and over the top of.
Ferreira ahead 3-2. Only one breaker serve in the match. That was in the first set.
rotation from the shoulders from both boys there, off an open stance throughout that rally. It generates the pace, but it was the last stroke that Ferreira was ahead of the ball.
Wayne Ferreira for the tournament here has served 34 aces, 14 double faults, 51%, and he's under that today, which is hurting him, as you've already pointed out.
He was good saving break points. He wasn't too good converting break points. And keep in mind, he had one more match than Courier. So his number of aces is factor in the idea that he played a few more sets than Jim did in this championship. The top 8 seeds in the Super 9 events draw buys, which means they're automatically into the second round.
Courier, meanwhile, holds on. He has leveled things at 3 games all in the second set for Jimmy Courier, who, as you said, got a bye and played one less match, 23 aces, 8 double faults, 54% first serve, 17 of 23.
He was really only happy with this game after beating Michael Chang in straight set 6-4, 6-4 in the semis yesterday. He said in the other matches he didn't have a lot of rhythm. He played guys like Marc Rosset. He said against Michael, you know, you get to hit a lot of balls, and it was only really after yesterday's semifinal win that he thought he knew he was playing good tennis.
Ferreira points up to it as if to say, can't see the ball in there.
Well, good move on Jim Courier's part. He anticipated the first overhead, and it was the second lob that gets back and looks directly into the sun, and of course miscued it, and then looks up and says, well, that was the reason, but he obviously should have put the first one away.
Love 15.
Courier's really kept the pressure on Ferreira. Ferreira has not threatened Courier at all in this second set. As a matter of fact, Courier's only lost 1 point on his own serve in the second set. That was by way of a double fault.
Ferreira's forehand allows him to take a lot control of an awful lot of points, but Courier keeps chasing him down, so he is asking this man to hit a couple of winners in one rally, and that's just not an easy thing to do.
That was a pretty tough approach shot that Ferreira played there too, and Courier just took the pace off it and played the little slice, kept it low, one-handed slice.
It was game 7 of the last set that Courier broke. That's where we're at again, and it's love 30.
Out.
15-30. Mary, you were talking to Amanda Kutzer earlier in the week and talking about how big all of sports are in South Africa. Well, this man Wayne Ferreira is a golfer. He was actually a badminton player. Played for his provincial team in badminton. 7 handicap golfer, cricket.
A week ago, Marcos Andruska, another South African, was playing. He lost to Andre Agassi, but he was in the final of the tournament in Scottsdale. And a week ago, Amanda Kutzer, South African, was in the final here, the women's event. Lost to Mary Jo Fernandez. In a sports-loving nation, that's what every South African tennis player will tell you.
Well, apart from the fact with Andruska and Ferreira, they really had some great role models. You know, Drysdale was their role model to get, you know.
That's but even for you, they've taken a little far. 30 all in this game.
left back in 1970, and
yeah, but you know, your memory lingers on there. First time today he scored off his big side. That last point.
Another one, but you know what that is testimony to how good, and you were saying it just a moment ago, how good Courier is about defense. I mean, he reminds me to some extent of Bjorn Borg in that respect, because Borg could run all day and just defend and never miss.
Big loopy swing on that forehand. He can do that when he has time in that front in the forecourt there.
Game point.
Courier just having a quiet look at Ferreira there, because there's no pressure on him at all on that return. There's no reason for him to miss that two-handed backhand by such a big margin.
Deeprom, his coach, says that his backhand side is, as we have been saying, the more consistent.
Solid volley from Ferreira.
But he opens things up on the forehand side.
Yeah, if he's going to win a match like this, you got to figure it's off the forehand side. Very nice 1-2 punch from Ferreira. If he wins this match, Ferreira, it won't be off his backhand side, it'll be off his forehand side. If he loses it, it could be off his forehand side too.
Yeah. Or off his service percentages. This is his weak volley that we're talking about. That he gets this one high. Anybody that's the #1 player in the world can hit this volley for a winner. It's up round shoulder height. Technically, that was well done.
Jim Courier is he's not, I mean, that's a second double from Ferreira. As you can see, Courier just doesn't come in much. He doesn't come in off his serve. He comes in off the ground. And his ground strokes are so big that he doesn't need a great volley. He just needs a good, solid volley.
Hit it into the net, and so there is the break. 7th game, and it goes to Jim Courier, who will serve when we come back.
Just having some treatment at the sideline.
That looks like Alex Stover down there, Brian, with him. It's Alex Stover, ATP trainer.
Jim Courier is having another good week in a lot of respects. He won the first set, and now he has just got himself a break in the second set. $235,000 to the winner here. $4,900 just to show the finalists. So the loser today will take home $123,000, and you see the rest of it. The points, $280 to the winner, and that's important to the players, because that is what qualifies them for draws and seeds and who gets into the year-ending championship final in Frankfurt. Here's what happened just moments ago. Wayne Ferreira being attended to by Alex Stober, who's the ATP trainer. He's having his shoulder massage, as you can see. Doesn't seem that he has had to take much off his shot so far in the match. So that kind of took us all by surprise. 4-3.
The important thing you mentioned about those points, Cliff, that keeps this man, who is the #1 player in the world, way up there with 280 points, because the runner-up 210, that's going to do Ferreira some good, but it's not going to get him anywhere near the #1 spot. So Jim Courier has a little more cushioning in that spot as he goes into the Lipton.
And Fred, Jim didn't do well here last year, and he didn't do particularly well at the Lipton either. So, yeah, his cushion will build if he has a good week next week, as he's having here. In the meantime, the #2 man in the world, Pete Sampras, well, he doesn't have much coming off in the coming months, but in the summertime, he's got to defend an incredible amount of points because he had a great hardcourt season, which, of course, ended at the final of the U.S. Open. So that's when Pete Sampras is going to be in computer trouble. Right now, it's this man who, in fact, started a 25-match win streak last year, just about this time. And of course, that includes the French Open. It's finally snapped, if you remember, second round of Wimbledon.
Courier holds on, and it's 5 games to 3. Let's check the serve directions of Jim Courier.
He's gone out to the backhand, Courier, the two-handed backhand again. That opens the court up. Courier likes to serve wide and wide. He's gone to the body a little bit more than he did yesterday and down the tee. So he's mixed it up quite well. Other side of the court again, out there up to nearly 60% out wide to the forehand. Yesterday was 65% out there to Chang. And so he likes that tactic of serving wide and wide to his opponents because he is so explosive off the ground. If they can get out to it and barely get it to the service line, then this man takes complete control of the point.
Ferreira serving love 15. Trying for too much too soon now, Wayne Ferreira, and he's paying the price. He's also touching his shoulder again. 9 straight points for this man. 9 aces for Ferreira at 15-30.
Again, as you mentioned, Cliff, going for too much too soon. Trying to get that big forehand, and he opens up just a fraction too early. And now he's in deep trouble.
Set points for Courier. Ferreira saves 1 with a good serve. 105.99 first serve. 1 more for Courier. Courier walking back there, playing with his strings, and thinking about the next shot. Very concentrated.
Yes.
Quick glance from Courier over to Jerry Armstrong in the chair on that call, and Armstrong was unimpressed. Deuce.
taken the pace off the ball. He was caught way behind the baseline rather than go for the big swing. Courier may have, I think Ferreira may have thought that shot was out. And here's one forehand. Look at this one. Into the net he goes. Courier's way behind. He plays a slice very, very low. Forces Ferreira to go for too cute a shot.
Deuce. Again, that's a two-handed backhand player trying to volley with the one-handed shot, but he doesn't have the right grip on the frame. Handle
props out here. This is where those skid marks are from. Now this one that Courier hits stays on top of the net, has a look over, bounces back onto the net, and then falls on the right side to set up a set.
Double fall. Second set, It's third of the match, and it gives Jim Courier the second set. He leads it by 2-0, 6-3, 6-3.
What's this prop thing you got going here, Fred? This prop business.
Props on the right foot.
What does that mean? What the hell is that?
Props. Props on his
props. Two nasty net cords in a row for the winner.
That's all right. This is not going to take much. This third set.
You could make it 215 flat.
He is not today.
I could make it 250 flat. Ifs and buts and cans and nuts would all make it.
We got it.
There again is a look at Wayne Ferreira. This is a live shot now of him. Alex Turbo is the ATP trainer, and he's massaging that right shoulder of his, and you could see Wayne Ferreira in the last change over, kind of gingerly touching the shoulder as if it doesn't feel really great. Moments ago, here was the story.
It's more than just massage.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you did that to my shoulder, it wouldn't feel too good either. Stretching it out. Must be strained ligaments up there somewhere, or
Well, they are now.
yeah, exactly.
Two rotten net cords in a row for Wayne there. In that last game, 2 in a row, helped him lose that game in set.
This is what's happened so far in this particular match. First percentages. Look at that, Ferreira, 44%. That's not going to do too good against Courier. And the unforced errors, 35 to Courier's 16. But he has come up with more winners. But Ferreira's been having to go for those shots all the time.
Yeah, I really felt that Ferreira was going to have to hit more winners than errors today to make an impression on Courier, and it has not happened. Janie Open, we talked about the keys to this man's victory today. His first serve percentage have been way lower, and of course his forehand, as we have been pointing out to you, statistically has been nowhere near as good as it should have been for him to make his move. 6-3, 6-3 Courier, 30-love Courier. This is the first game, third set. 3 breaks of serve in the match, 1 in the first set, 2 in the second, and Courier has not been broken. See, those are the problems for Wayne Ferreira. He's hit 2 and had 11 misfires. Courier, another ace. That's his 5th of the match, and he leads it 1-0 in the 3rd set, 2 sets to 0. We'll take a break.
Well, that's his flat serve. The out wide serve is his flat serve. If he goes for him to hit that one down the thing, he's got to give it the same motion, but his grip is he has to give the one out wide.
Just before he serves to
the production thing.
Where is it lost?
Quiet, please. Thank you.
I'm going to get Smith sitting there. Because you wouldn't let me get in this one. Yeah. You go send him, tell me a carton of biscuits.
Wayne Ferreira's looked pretty good in this serve game so far. Just served another ace. That is 10 altogether for the day, and it's 30 love Ferreira, but he's down 1-0 and worse, 2 sets to love.
There's his change-up serve. That one only at 94 miles an hour. Swung that one out to the forehand. Got a good angle on that one.
Serve direction for Wayne Ferreira, Fred, and this is, I suppose, because of his grip.
Well, he likes to hit that flat serve, and on the ad court, the way he addresses the ball, the way he sets up, the 75% is the flat serve out to the two-hander, because with the forehand grip, he's got to come around the outside of the ball a little bit more to go down the tee. That one's a flat serve. That's his favourite serve on the deuce court. So Wayne Ferreira held serve. And this gives you an idea of where he likes to serve on that deuce court. Just there where he hit that last serve 65% of the time. He breaks it out wide 30% of the time, but that's where he served his aces. That's basically his change-up serve where he tries to surprise Courier.
When he goes to the forehand, right? So in general, he's just going to the backhand both sides. 1 all in the 3rd set.
We've learned from the ATP trainer Alex Stober that in yesterday's semifinal, Wayne Ferreira developed a little muscle stiffness and soreness in his right shoulder, and that's why he's being attended to on these last few changeovers by Alex Stover trying to loosen it up a little bit. Oh boy, I'll tell you, obviously Alexander Volkov is not nearly the opponent that Jim Courier is, but when he did play Volkov yesterday, this man had twice the number of winners to errors. Much cleaner effort from him in yesterday's semifinal than in today's final.
This shows you what a little bit of extra pace can do. The reason for the errors today is that Courier's hits with a lot more pace than the shot as Alexander Volkov.
That's right, and Courier's got a game point, 3 of them in fact at 1 game all third set. Courier
in the second set, in my unofficial score sheet, lost 1 point on serve. He served 4 times, and he hasn't lost a point in the third set on serve as yet. In the last 6 service games, he's only lost 1 point. And as always, when you mention that, the only point that he lost actually in the second set was a double fault on his serve.
Pretty impressive stuff, any which way you look at it, Fred. Even if your unofficial statistics are 1 or 2 out, still pretty amazing. Game point for Courier still.
I have to check with the doctor and see how the doctor gives me the thumbs up, so I'm all right. Doctor being official statistician.
Leo 11.
14-30.
Long set 2 in a row for Wayne Ferreira, number 14 seed from South Africa, taking on Jim Courier. This is live coverage from Indian Wells near Palm Springs, California. Third set. It's the men's singles final best of 5 sets. It is a fabulous day for tennis. Dry heat, which is so pleasant to play in.
Yesterday, this area was the warmest place in the country. Could be today, too.
Yes, Courier.
That from our ESPN Weather Bureau and Mary Carrillo. Meanwhile, 2 games to 1 in the third set and 2 sets to love for Jim Courier. We're on serve in the third. We'll be back.
Top 10 for a while last year, but now he's 17. He ended the year at 12.
It's a view of arguably the finest tennis stadium, outdoor stadium anyway, in the world here in Indian Wells, designed by the tournament chairman Charlie Passarella, who was the #1 player in the United States for a while, and he did a heck of a job. These great aerial shots that you see are being brought to you courtesy of the Fuji blimp, and it's an onboard camera team. Those guys brought some very, very nice pictures all week, and we sure want to thank them. Jim Courier, meanwhile, is having a very good day of it here. He has won the first 2 sets and leads 2-1 in the second, playing Wayne Ferreira, 14 seed from South Africa. Jim Courier, as I said, the #1 player in the world. The man that he's playing against today was for a time last year in the top 10 players in the world. Ended up at number 12, Pete Sampras, and then Stefan Edberg, Boris Becker, Michael Chang. Courier, though, is distancing himself at this point between himself and the rest of the field.
What a shot. What an incredible shot. Ferreira looking for that one down the line, and Courier was able to come up with a topspin lob on the full run. As the returner serve keeps down low, pretty good shot at nearly a half volley, but look, he looks for that one down the line. This was nearly an impossible shot. He had a little bit of extra room going cross-court with the lob, but still all well played.
Peter Courier also played in this tournament. He was seated number 5 here and lost. Goran Ivanisevic as well at number 7, and then Michael Steek rounds out the top 10 along with, as you see, Van Lim.
Another great lob. Oh, that's good. Here's Ferreira trying to pressure Courier, trying to close well, cut off any angles. And Courier decides not to try to hit past him, not to try to hit through him, but at the very last fraction of a moment, lift it over him.
Great point. First serve fault.
Smart move there for Courier also, because he's throwing those lobs up into the sun. Even if Ferreira gets a look at him, he's missed a couple.
Double fault, and Ferreira is broken for the first time in the 3rd set. He was broken once in the first, twice in the second, once so far. Courier in the 3rd set, rather. Courier has not been broken in the match yet. He was down 3 break points in the first set in the same game. Outside of that, though, on his own serve, he has hardly been challenged at all, as you see Wayne Ferreira again babying that right shoulder that he had problems with after his match yesterday with Volkov.
Love 15.
Look at that. 30 service points, and he's won 26th of them. It hasn't been broken today, as I said. He's been in trouble only 3 times, 3 break points against him, none of which were converted in the first set.
Pretty impressive.
Only lost 1 match all year. That was to Derek Rostania in the first round in Philadelphia after he had played a long final with Todd Martin of the USA in Memphis.
Played 3 3-setters that week in Memphis to win that title.
Indoors, which is not his favorite surface by any means, is it? I would say that the way he plays clay is his best surface. Won the French Championship going away twice, but this would be number 2 and a close number 2. Outdoors on a medium-paced hard court. For those of you joining us today for the first time, this court has been quickened up since last year. If you want to know how that's done, it's the amount of sand that you put in the top acrylic layer.
Anywhere where it's hot, he's won the Australian Open the last 2 years. It's pretty warm down there in January, and it's a very hot day here today. It tells it all. Best outdoor record last year.
Jim Courier, that laid-back wrist that stays that way the whole time. He makes the swing on both forehand and backhand side, kind of unique. And he's got another game point. 110 apparently, we're told, right at courtside.
During the Australian Open, it was 140, so he just loves that heat.
We're in the 3rd set. It's 4 games to 1 Courier. He's in control.
Time.
It's Jim Courier and Wayne Ferreira. Ferreira from South Africa, Courier, Florida, and California. Top player in the world, of course, from the USA. He has won the first 2 sets easily, 6-3, 6-3, leads 4 games to 1. 1 breaker serve that represents here in the 3rd set. This is a best of 5 set final. Newsweek Champions Cup. We're in Indian Wells, California, surrounded by the Santa Rosa Mountains in the Palm Springs environs. Cliff Drysdale, Fred Stolle, Mary Carrillo started to head down to courtside to interview Courier if he wins this match.
Like it is. I think this match is history. Wayne Ferreira troubled by a shoulder injury.
Nevertheless, it's the final match, Fred, and it clearly is hurting him to some extent. But I'd sure like to see him give it more of a go than he appears to be doing at the moment. Really, as we said, there was some stiffness and hurt yesterday, and as you take a look at his unforced errors at 14 of the forehand side, he really needed to hit the forehand well today, and he hasn't. He also needed to get a lot of big first serves in to get some free and cheap points, and he hasn't hit enough of those in either. 15-all. Double fault.
15-30.
I think Wayne Ferreira again with his left hand feeling that right shoulder area of his. In his mind, he's already in the locker room.
He's about 46% on first serves, 12 aces. So he's still way up there as the leader in the ace category with 34 yesterday, 12, 46 of them going.
$235,000 to the winner today. Runner-up takes home 123. He missed that one. He has another break for a break point, rather, for a second break in the 3rd set. Ferreira hasn't broken yet. Courier's broken 4 times and he's hit 10 shots. There's another chance. These two, and they've only ever played once before, was at the French Championships 2 years ago, won in a score that is not that much different from this one. If Courier goes ahead and wins it here, it was a quick 3-set match there as well, and Courier went on to win the French then and to repeat again last year.
You talk about repeating and having to defend points. Courier had to do that last year with the Australian. He had 2 Grand Slams to defend if he was to stay as the #1 player in the world. He did that, and he's on the same track again this year.
Yeah, no, I love his answer. You know, the press said to him, well, don't you feel the pressure having to repeat? He said, if you don't want to have that kind of pressure, don't win them in the first place.
Yep.
Jose Higueras is Jim Courier's coach, of course, and he was a darn fine player in his own right. He kind of blocked behind Gavin Forbes. He was trying to hog this picture.
Everybody's got their caps on now. We saw a lot of caps and hats down at the Australian Open. Well, it's just as hot here, or nearly as hot here.
To Palm Springs. Jimmy Connors has also won it. Larry Stefanki, who was coaching John McEnroe and who will be coaching Jonathan Stark also. And Boris Becker won it in '88. Miloslav Mejcir in a long 5-set match. But this man here, Jose Higueras, as you can see, he was a winner, let's see, 9 years ago. 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
30 love, 2 points from the match.
Well, the crowd trying to give Wayne Ferreira some encouragement. He's had a terrific tournament here this week. And we expected to see a lot more forehand winners like that, but not so. This man has just been too tough. Too much game, too tough mentally.
Match and championship point for Jim Courier.
Until this stage, and he's hit another 2 in this particular game. Ferreira. Courier felt that it was good, and immediately overruled from Jerry Armstrong. Courier's not even going to question that.
Courier is very much in control of the match anyway, but well done. You hate to see a match finish there, even though it is so one-sided on a bad call. So still match point Courier.
thought we'd see a lot more of from Wayne Ferreira as he puts the fist in the air. So, well, I'm starting to make a few shots now, but it's just too little too late.
Deuce. Toyed with the idea of going over to give him a break point, decided against it. That ball did drop back on Wayne Ferreira's side, and it's another match point for Courier.
Temperature was up over 110 degrees on court today, so the hotter it gets, the hotter Jim Courier gets, and he showed us right throughout this week that he's in pretty good form, and we can look forward to another exciting year of tennis from this man. I think Wayne Ferreira, a great week, Cliff, but today was just outgunned in pretty much all departments. Not a good service percentage for him, and not enough winners off the forehand.
Easy day, Jim Courier, 6-3, 1 break, then 6-3, 2 breaks, and then again 2 breaks in the third. We'll be back.
I'm right here.
Yeah? Have you got everything? Have you got everything packed?
No, it doesn't take me but 5 minutes.
Hello, hello.
Yeah.
Right over here.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I can have your attention for a few minutes.
Jim Courier, top player in the world, distancing himself now from the rest of the pack. He has only lost 1 match all year. This is his 3rd championship title for this year, 1993, including, of course, the Australian Open Championships. It was an easy best-of-5 set match, won in straight sets, 6-3, 6-3, 6-1. And let's go down now to Mary Courier, who's with him at courtside. Mary?
Nice win for you, Jim. You really roughed him up pretty good, didn't you?
Yeah, well, it wasn't really the prettiest of matches. There's lots of unforced errors out there, but you know, I got the job done. That's what we're supposed to do.
You were pretty stingy on your own serve.
Yeah, you know, I didn't really give too many free points away, which was big for me. You know, if I can stay away from you know, giving the guy anything and make him earn everything, and then they're in for a long afternoon.
So we've honored
10 years ago, Jose Higueras won this title, and now you've won it. That's kind of sweet, nice sense of closure involved there, isn't it?
Keep it in the family. That's kind of nice to have. And Jose's meant a lot to me. You know, it all started here about 2.5 years ago when I first came out to train with him here. You know, and I've really made a run since then. And you know, he's probably the biggest reason I made that jump.
All right, well, congratulations. Nicely done. Back upstairs.
And nice of him to recognize Jose Higueras, his coach, and to say such a nice thing about him. Courier the winner. And let's take a break from this live coverage, and then we'll be back with the summons.
Say something in Inca. Oh.
wow. Well, first of all, to me it's a great honor to be here in front of so many people. I don't think I play in such a big crowd, much less talk. So I want to thank Newsweek, Claro, and most of all Charlie. Congratulations for doing this great job. I think that this is the greatest tournament in the West Coast. And I believe in a few more years this will be the greatest tournament of the world. The tournament committee, thank you very much for this great honor, and I hope to be back again enjoying this wonderful sun.
Thank you, Alex. To you historians, in 1959, Alex won the Australian, Wimbledon, and was the finalist in the United States Champions. And in 1960, he was never heard from again. Until today is correct. Thank you, Mark. Here's the guy we talk about. Everybody keeps saying Charlie, Charlie, Charlie. He's the guy, besides his great tennis career, he's given so much to the game. The guy who brought championship tennis to the desert. Our tournament director, the boss man, Charlie Passerella.
Thank you, Alan. First of all, I'd like to recognize some very important people that are here on court with us today. I'll start with my partner.
Jim Courier easily overwent Ferreira of South Africa in straight sets. The ceremonies are underway here on the stadium court, and
of course, everybody
it is now Charlie Passerella, who is the tournament chairman, who is addressing this sellout crowd. So let's go down to Charlie Passerella.
Next to Alex is J. Wayne Richmond, the Executive Vice President of the ATP Tour in charge of the North American Tour. Next to J. Wayne, Ron Kilpatrick, Vice President of IBM. And then the boss of the tour, the CEO of the tour, Mark Miles. And now to make the presentations to the finalists, I would like to introduce to you the Chairman of Harman International, Dr. Sidney Harman.
Arthur Ashe stood for three things always. He epitomized the very best in tennis. He was devoted to human rights everywhere in the world. And especially, he was devoted to the end of apartheid in South Africa. With Charlie's encouragement, I will recite for you just a few lines from a poem that was very close to Arthur Ashe, and that speaks superbly of those central issues in his life. This from the epic poem by Longfellow, Ulysses. Though much is taken, much abides, and if we are not now that strength which in the old days moved heaven and earth, that which we are, one equal temper of heroic heart, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will to seek, to search, to find, and not to yield. Arthur Ashe. How interesting it is that on a day that we celebrate that glorious life, I have the privilege of making the award to the finalist in this tournament, a young man of South Africa who has engaged our attention all week, even as the conquest of apartheid in his native country is coming to its successful conclusion. And I'm delighted to welcome Wayne Ferreira here. I'm delighted to say that he gave all of us a memorable week tennis, and I have the great pleasure to present him with the finalists' check in the modest amount of $123,000.
Firstly, I'd like to thank the Newsweek and Harmony International for sponsoring this tournament. It's a great tournament. I have a great time coming out here to the desert. You know, I really have a lot of friends out here, and it's just great to play in front of this crowd. I'd like to thank Charlie for having such a great tournament. He really does a good job. And then to Ray Moore and Didi Filich and Steve Simon that's involved with the tournament as well, I'd like to thank them. To the ball boys and all the volunteers who make it such a special week. And then I'd just like to thank my cheering squad, my family, and my close friends standing up there. Thank you. And then lastly, I'd just like to congratulate Jim on once again having a great tournament. We as tennis players know why he's ranked #1 in the world, and he deserves to be there. Well done, Jim.
Present the check to the winner, the President and Editor-in-Chief of Newsweek magazine, Rick Smith.
Thank you, Charlie. Newsweek has been involved in this great event for the last 6 years, and we're particularly honored to be part of a year when tennis, all of tennis, and I think all Americans look to the memory of a great man of tennis and a great man, Arthur Ashe. And it's this event always brings surprises. 2 years ago, there was a young up-and-comer who took this tournament by storm. His name was Jim Courier. Not quite as many people had heard of him in those days. He was well known in tennis, but we like to think that this Newsweek Champions Cup was his launching pad, and boy, what has he done since. It's been extraordinary, and I'd like to bring forward a great champion, a great repeat champion, Jim Courier. We have one bit of housekeeping, or perhaps I should say accounting, before I hand over the microphone to Jim. Jim, a check for $235,000. Not a bad week's work.
Thank you very much. I'd like to second what Wayne has said about Newsweek and Harmon and Charlie and all his staff. I've been adopted out here by Jose Higueras and his family. Spent a lot of time in the desert, and I really enjoyed this week, particularly being able to be in my home away from home. And you know, the tournament is run very smoothly. The fans are fantastic. You guys come out and support us day in and day out, and we really appreciate it. It's no fun to play in front of empty seats, but it's really fun to play in front of y'all. So thanks for coming. If you've been out to tennis tournaments and you've seen me speaking, you've probably heard me speak with Jose Higueras, my coach over here. I have another coach named Brad Stein who travels with me. This year when I went to Australia, there's another gentleman who's from New York City, a Catholic priest, who was my mental guru, a guy by the name of Father Joseph Dispenza. He had a plane ticket, was supposed to go down to Australia with me this year to support me. Unfortunately passed away while I was on the flight down. And you know, I've had a good year so far, and I started working with him about 2.5 years ago.
Nobody knows. He didn't want anyone to know that he was working. That wasn't his way. But Joe, I know you're up there listening, and this has all been for you. Thank you.
Thoughtful champion here of the Newsweek Champions Cup, the #1 player in the world, Jim Courier, who has always congratulated the people that have helped him get to where he is.